Hey, Internets! It's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about Star Trek Discovery, Season 2, Episode 2, New Eden, directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Yes.
We start by learning that Spock, not on vacation, not taking a leave of absence.
No.
Well, it is leave of absence. The leave of absence is checking himself into
The funny
a
farm.
psych ward.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
But no.
Yes.
Well, because
The sanitarium.
Vulcans don't do humor. So they have to go
yeah.
to the funny farm.
Good call. Well done. He's referring to a kind of line that falls flat at the end of this episode where the injured rib Pike is asking Burnham, "Don't make me laugh," and she says, "Vulcans don't do humor.
Vulcans don't do funny.
Don't do funny." That was the actual line.
Don't do funny.
And then that made him laugh, and he's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
So we're like, "Really? Was that funny?"
Yeah, no.
Was it? No, it wasn't.
No.
All right. So anyway, all right. So, but she went to a funny farm, and now she's funny.
And she's not even a Vulcan.
And she's not a Vulcan.
She's like a naturalized Vulcan.
Naturalized Vulcan. I like it. So we learned that he has voluntarily checked himself into this psych ward and is asked not to have anybody know about it.
Nobody.
And so once again, he's not on this episode. He's
Yep.
and from the trailers for episode 3, it looks like he's not in that episode either. Maybe again, I feel like he's going to show up at the end of an episode. That'll be the end. We found him and he's there.
Yeah.
So whether that's episode 3 or episode 4,
Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? If you have theories, put them out.
Yes, put them there.
Great. Okay, so that's handled very quickly. Like, oh yeah, by the way, he could see all these 7 dots, and we'll call him the Red Angel because they mentioned Red Angel in this episode. So he saw the Red Angel markings well before they happened, and he's in a psych ward. Okay, great. Yes. So meanwhile, light number 2, Red Angel marking number 2 has lit up again. Like, they're like, we have to go. But it's incredibly far away.
Yes.
It would take, like, generations would have to keep flying in order to reach this thing.
Yes.
So it's impossible.
It's impossible. We can't do it. Does anybody else have any ideas? Anybody at all?
I wonder what mode of transportation. All right, so yes, they use a spore drive.
Well, and here's the thing, actually. They're like, we could use the spore drive, and, we like spore drive, because the tardigrade in these, you had to be there.
Yeah, which is interesting that they even bring up the tardigrade because, that is still a subject of a lawsuit. There is a lawsuit going on where the guy who, I forgot his name, but he created a video game way, long ago with a tardigrade in it, and it had a lot of similarities to Star Trek Discovery. His lawsuit was filed. They tried to dismiss it, and when I most recently read the status, it had survived the motion to dismiss.
Oh,
so the case is still ongoing, and it's a lawsuit, and obviously there'll be a lot of cash involved.
Yes.
So anyway, for them to kind of bring up the tardigrade again, you're like, you don't need to anymore. You eschew the tardigrade. Maybe you don't.
No. Lean into it.
We're
paramount.
Lean in. All right. Anyway, so in case you didn't know, from season 1, there's this creature called the tardigrade that they used for a while to travel with the spore drive. Eventually, they thought, in show context, it was, hey, we don't want to be cruel to this creature.
Right.
Let it go.
Yep.
In real context, it might have been, oh, we're getting sued over this. Maybe we'll let that go. But anyway. But the idea was they would never use a spore drive again after the end of season 1. It was like, one last jump. And they were like, no, we're not using this technology anymore. And then in this episode, it's like, but it's important. Well, all right, let's use it. It really didn't take much to push them over the edge.
Yeah. Well, what is it? The rationale they gave, right, was like, they gave us the reason why they can't do it is because of genetic alterations they had to make, right, which is illegal because of Khan. So, like the people that Khan was initially. Not later, because Khan doesn't happen until later. But the people that Khan was originally from.
Okay.
So, illegal. So...
Botany Bay.
Yes, Botany Bay. So we can't do it. But it's a war, so it's okay. But now it's not a war, so you can't do it. But this is kind of like a war.
It's important.
Because it's important.
It's important.
So there you go.
And that's the thing. I mean, when you have that kind of technology, right? I can go anywhere instantly technology.
Yes.
There's always going to be a reason to use it. There's always going to be like, oh, if we got there faster than traveling, it would help us.
And did you
know?
Nope,
let's not do it.
Did you know that it was like, I feel like, I don't remember. I guess that's what it is. Because he was like, whoa. And everybody else was like, you never fit your first time doing a sport drive.
Yeah. I mean, because it spins around, I would imagine it would be disconcerting. You're saying does everybody feel the effects, in other words?
Yeah. So I guess we need to look back at that first one.
So they all just like throw
like,
up.
Whoa!
Oh, God, no! Ears bleeding. No, we're here, though.
Because thankfully...
We lost half the crew.
It's not something, because typically on the show... Anytime there's like, the ship is moving, so they have to do but for this one, it's like, whoa, okay,
nope, we're done.
Yep,
Here
we are. Also,
I seem to remember last time in season 1 when Stamets, who became the tardigrade stand-in, would use it. Like it caused him pain. I feel like he was like, if I remember right in season 1. And here he's just like, plug it in, we're good.
Yeah, I feel like
he seemed to get over it really
fast. There was
fast.
Something that made it easier.
Okay. Maybe over time he was getting used to it or something. I don't know. But I kind of remember his eyes filmed over.
Yeah,
and he was like,
yeah. Maybe because they were doing all those fucking jumps.
Oh, true. Let's map things. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, they use the spore drive. And they arrive, and once again the red lights blinked out. They don't actually see it. We'll talk about what that all means in a second. But first of all, so they go, and then instead they find here, and they're in a beta quadrant or something. There's this little Earth-like environment with 11,000 settlers, and there's a distress signal on repeat.
Yep.
They find out the distress signal is from 200 years ago, and it was. These were humans that were on Earth during World War III.
Yeah, and they're in the beta quadrant, which I just want to underline because everything that we've seen, most of it has occurred in the alpha quadrant. The delta quadrant is where the...
Voyager?
No, delta is... wait.
Sorry, am I wrong?
You're right. I think delta is them. Gamma is Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine.
That's Gamma Quadrant. Right. Okay. So Delta is Voyager.
Okay.
So those are the quadrants that we've dealt with, and so this is Beta. So which I don't feel like we've heard of as much.
We haven't seen a lot of
I don't
canon
feel
stuff
as if
in there.
we've seen as much there, but it's just this boring little colony. So
it's boring little colony. All right. So it's a colony. We don't know exactly how this happened, but we know that from what we find out later from a helmet cam, like a soldier in World War III, was they run into the church. Whatever. I can understand them doing that. Although that'll protect you. Here come the bombs. But anyway, yes, they run to a church, and at the last second, the bombs are dropping. An angelic, the red angel symbol, kind of comes into the church. And next thing you know, this whole church and everyone around it has been transported to this peaceful planet.
With an atmosphere.
Continues to be peaceful for the next 200 years.
Yes.
And so in the meantime, because there's been a few generations, people grown up.
Yep.
One guy, we learned Jacob, has been, the son of scientists. And he's decided to send out this distress signal because he thinks that maybe there are other people out there and there are spaceships and people could come and rescue them.
Well, I think he was saying that he was tending to it, right? Because if it was running continuously for that time, he's not that old, so his family was doing it. So he's like, hey, his father at some point was like, hey, we got to keep this damn thing going.
Gotcha. But that's the origin of the distress signal.
Yes.
Is Jacob and the people who are like, I don't think we belong here.
Yes.
As opposed to everyone else is like, we belong here.
Yes, exactly. Like, oh, thank you, stew of gods.
Stew of gods. Right. So they didn't know who to thank.
Yeah.
And so they just decided to thank everyone.
That's right.
So they have a religion in this church, which is like, it's like this patchwork of, like, they took like the Quran and the Bible and the Talmud, and they kind of just took passages and pasted them on
and
to each
Hindu
other.
as well. I think they mentioned Hindu.
Wicca.
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 I was like, oh wow, okay.
All right, they went to.
And with the Hindu, they already have like a whole bunch of gods. So they have like.
So there's a mixing bowl
Yeah.
of religions that they've decided to attempt to meld together, and so it's decided.
Thankfully, no Scientologists. So
they did not have the Church of Scientology. I don't think I heard Mormons in there either. So the crew or Pike decides, hey, let's cosplay. We're gonna go and hang out amongst the locals and find out what's the deal.
Do they? Because it didn't seem like their clothing was that radically different.
It's true. Like, he basically just threw on like a black leather jacket.
Yeah.
But it looked. I mean, it didn't look like they were wearing their spacesuits.
I guess. Well, no, because there's an atmosphere.
Well, yeah. I mean, but like, in other words, they didn't have he didn't have the bright yellow shirt.
Okay.
In the
Yeah,
whatever. He's like, I'm going to put a leather coat on. We're fine.
This shirt is obviously too advanced for them.
Yeah. Right. They could have done a little better cosplaying. I agree. Although it didn't seem to matter. Everybody's like, you're
really
fine.
Didn't. No, it really didn't matter.
So they show up to investigate the source of the distress signal. You're like, hey, because the distress signal is like, we're under attack, and then they're obviously not under attack, but they also realize, oh, this is from Earth of 200 years ago. What the hell? Yeah. So in the exploration, this is where we'll talk more about this, but it basically, my complaint with this section is it's done too quickly. It's really compressed for time. They show up. They look around the church, look at the pictures on the stained glass, which I guess they had a way to stain glass and make that stuff. Sure, why not? And they're like, oh, look, there's the angel, red angels on the stained glass. Got it. They get welcomed immediately by who are you? Oh, we're from the north. Great. Well, here, let's tell you our life story. Yeah. So that's convenient for them, and they hear all about the life story. And then they're like, hey, by the way, can we just go stay in the church and no one checks us out? We'll just stay there. Great. They go, and then they get to mess around, and then Jacob shows up. He's like, aha, I knew you were from spaceships. Throws a grenade at them, knocks them out, steals their stuff.
Yeah, steals their stuff.
And to prove, look, people there's technology exists.
Yes, exactly.
And, there's a race to try to shut him up because, prime directive, don't want to screw with it. In their act of trying to convince, it's the All-Mother, I think is her name.
Yeah.
She wears red, by the way.
Right.
So she's trying to mimic the red angel. Trying to convince her that, no, we're just humble people from the north.
Yes.
There's a little townsfolk girl who's like, what's this? It's like the Porgs trying to use a lightsaber in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And so, in order to save her, Pike grabs the phaser, which they already did mention was set on stun.
They did?
So they kind of explained the fact that he didn't just evaporate himself. But
right, yeah, but I guess on a kid. Yeah.
Right, and it hurts him a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
So it stuns him to the point of screwing him up. And they run back into the church.
Yeah.
We need to pray his wounds away.
Yeah.
And
heal him, Lord.
Teleporting away to save Pike and also save the mystery of, we're from another future tech. Just to finish that part of the story, eventually Pike comes back to talk to Jacob alone, because Jacob's the one guy here in the group. It's like, we're living a lie.
Yeah.
So he talks to Jacob. He's like, you're right.
They had to perform a bit of it in front of the group in the first meeting with him, because it's like, here's our story, and Michael, who been raised with Vulcans and therefore doesn't need religion, or I guess does the Vulcans have religion?
I think Vulcans have religion. I don't know. Like I always felt like that Amok time had a kind of seemed like a religious significance to it.
It could just be a social,
Okay.
aspect. I gotta look that up. But anyway, so Michael is always like, did anybody think of any scientific reasons why this might have happened?
I know. I'm like maybe you just let it go in this moment.
Well, Pike's like that, like
because, for instance, does anyone? I mean, obviously, I guess Jacob is the guy, but you would think it might be a tell, right? If the whole planet of 11,000 people is like, yeah, we believe in the multi-god and we don't believe in science. And you're like, what about science? Huh?
That could be one of your gods.
Burned at stake.
Like,
Okay,
sure.
She's a witch.
Yeah. No, they're Wiccans.
Oh, that's true. Good
They're
point.
fine with it.
They don't believe in it. Yeah. I mean, they don't care.
They're fine. They're like, goody.
Great, witch. So Pike returns, talks to Jacob, tells him, you are right.
Yes.
There are spaceships out in there.
After they disappeared, yes.
And, yeah, right. And so, but unlike, for instance, in the short trek, there's a short trek where Saru is playing with the distress signal, essentially. Like a, hey, contact me.
Yeah, some weird thing.
Giorgio comes down, says, you were right. Even though you're pre-warp, you have facility for this stuff. Come with me.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yep.
In this case, they didn't make that offer. They're like, Jacob, you are right. You have facility for this.
For that,
you've grasped everything.
You've won a battery.
Here's a battery. And we'll take your camera. All right, bye.
Fair trade? Fair trade?
I mean, you get the implication that maybe Jacob wouldn't have accepted if they'd asked, but they didn't ask. It wasn't like...
they didn't ask.
They didn't say, hey, do you want to come with it? No.
No.
So, yeah, they leave him a big battery that lights the church, and the church is lit for the first time in a while. And they get the camera footage, which shows this Red Angel figure approaching at the time the bombs are dropping in World War III. All right. So that's that element of the story. The rest of the element of the story was, meanwhile, while they're on the planet playing cosplay, there is death and destruction is looming on the planet. Oh, they're surrounded by a ring, kind of like a Saturn's ring of debris, and some of the debris is broken away, and it's radioactive, and it's going to kill everyone. And it's on its way into the gravitational pull of the planet. So they have to try to figure out a way to stop it. And the way to stop it is eventually to take the giant asteroid that they acquired in episode 1, kind of slingshot it around so that its gravitational pull pulls the debris away from the planet.
Yes.
And they do that.
They do.
Successfully.
They do successfully do it.
Everybody does not die.
No.
And so, again, we'll talk more about some of the details on that in a second, but that's generally what happens.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Tilly, in her experiments on this asteroid, she also has a conversation with Stamets, who's like, I don't want to go back to the mycelial network.
Right.
I saw my dead husband.
Yep.
And I don't really want to go and see that again. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Tilly takes that in, and then she's playing with the dark matter of this asteroid, and she summons up the ghost. I'll call it ghost of.
Sure, why not?
Of her dead classmate.
Yes.
Who's hanging around, being positive.
Yes.
Hey, you're great.
Yes,
Tilly.
you're great.
You're awesome. And so it's at the end of the episode she realizes, oh, that woman, that used to be my classmate, and she's dead now.
Yes, because
how is that possible?
Calls her Schmilly. What is it? No,
Stilly.
Stilly. Okay, yeah, I think it's Stilly. I wonder why.
I'm not sure
I guess this is a nickname.
Yeah. I think the girl / now dead woman's name was May.
I think so. I think you're right. Yeah.
So there's that happens. Then after this thing so they've now dealt with 2 of these signals, and we end with another conversation between Pike and Burnham, which has the great joke in it. Vulcans don't too funny. Okay. Where she admits, oh, by the way, I saw this Red Angel as well, but it was probably a hallucination. Pike's like, don't be so sure. Because we find out that Pike's dad was not only a scientist, but also taught comparative religion. So Pike's a little more open to the religious aspect of things than Michael is. And we finish with Pike watching that footage and seeing the Red Angel in World War III.
Yes.
So that. Generally speaking, that's your story for episode 2.
There you go.
What direction you want to go on our conversation here, sir?
Right. I thought the episode was fine. I did like that. It felt Star Trek-y to me because they were like, oh, here's a planet and they're in this situation or whatever. And obviously the Prime Directive was being talked about, even though I think they called it something else.
He called it General Order 1.
Yeah, General Order 1. So yeah, it was a little woo-woo though. So it was something to, because of all the religious talk.
Well, and that was a fairly common. I can picture a few episodes of the original series and Next Generation where you've got the science versus religion thing where these people are simpletons. Yeah. They think it's magic when really it's just a phaser.
Right. So they had to bring out what is it, Asimov? Was that what it is or what?
They did Arthur
Clarke. Yeah, Arthur Clarke's thing. And okay. All right.
Technology to us, a simpleton seems like.
He's like magic.
Seems like magic.
But
Thor showed up.
Any involvement or whatever is got to be aliens.
All right, I'll mention this. Just a little sideline, but it's good news, bad news. Good news, from my perspective, as one who came to Chicago, went to Second City, took a bunch of classes. Have done improv for a few decades now. Improv exists.
It does.
In the future.
It does.
In the year 2255.
That's right. It never dies.
And it's not just improv. It's Chicago-based improv because Tilly mentions yes and.
Yes.
She mentions, Michael, I wish Michael was here to yes and me.
Yes, see.
So that's the bad news.
So
that Tilly is the one who apparently knows improv.
It's good news because that means improv survives Tilly. You see?
It's like,
so it's not like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
The most annoying member of the crew is also, she's like, come to my improv show. Damn it.
You'd be
come on, Tilly.
I can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's what you would be like.
Right, I'd be on the ship like, can I share on Facebook? On Star Discovery Facebook?
On Disco?
So she invokes the mantra of improv. Yes and. So there you go. It survived all this time. As a guy who kind of spends a lot of time doing the improv thing, it was just kind of like, oh, there it is.
Yes.
So there's that. One thing that it's a Star Trek trope, and we've talked about it in the past, but I felt like they went a little overboard on it. Traditionally, Treks they introduced things like the teleporter, transporter, the holodeck, even things like phasers. They can be plot killers, right? Because it's like, we'll just use that thing and you can accomplish your goal. Right. No, wait, we can't because. So they had one of those moments in this episode, which was, oh my God, those debris is going to hit the planet and destroy everyone. All right, well, can we just beam up our crew? No, radiation. All right, that's a standard one. Well, okay, can we just contact them then? Let's just let them know what's happening. No, radiation. Okay, all right, that's the double. And then the third one was when I was like, well, let's just send a shuttle. We'll send a shuttle and pick them up. The exhaust from the shuttle will increase the radiation levels. I was like, what? Like, anyway, it seemed like such a...
Oh, presumably, too...
the exhaust from a single shuttle will destroy the planet.
Presumably, too, let's save our crew members, I guess, is the point of that. And screw the rest of the planet.
Yeah, I know. It is true that there was a sense of like, if we could just do the shuttle thing, we'll leave, and then... So long, 11,000 suckers. Yeah. It's a prime directive, man.
Yeah, and so that's a good thing. Don't tell them about that there's warp technology because they're gonna die.
They're gonna die anyway.
So
it did create an interesting. I assume Jonathan Frakes had some hand in this, but they tailor-made the situation so that it was kind of a balance. You could see both sides of this issue. The issue being Michael wants to tell him, hey, hey, you're Earthlings, and we've done a lot of stuff in the last 200 years.
Yeah.
We could take you off this planet and zip you around space. Pike's like, hey, Prime Directive, this is a pre-warp society, even though it's technically not, because, they're Earthlings and humans, and they're cousins, essentially. Yeah. But this particular group of humans left Earth before they went warp. And
against their will.
Living happily on this idyllic little planet.
Yes.
And without any power, basically.
And in their defense, into this planet's defense, it's like they had a choice. We're on this strange planet. Do you think it was a scientific reason that happened? No! It's a bunch of gods. You're kind of safe thinking, do they want to hear the other reason?
Well, Jacob did.
Well, Jacob did, right. Well, that's why it should have been like, hey, why don't you leave? We've got a program. Here's one of our people, who Saru, who did it too. So you can leave.
It is true.
Leave these backwards bumpkins.
It occurred to me when Jacob says to Pike, like, oh, you've confirmed what we've always believed to be true, and he shuts down the distress signal. He's like, and that's enough for me, or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, is it enough? Like, sure, in this moment, maybe it's enough. Tomorrow? 8 months from now? There's going to be some moment where you're like...
He's like, this battery. Maybe I should have gotten more.
Oh, no! So-and-so broke their leg, and they're going to get blood poisoning. Well, let's pray to the gods and hoping that we couldn't fix some... Whatever. I mean, I just feel like there's going to be a lot of moments in his future.
Let me try to connect this battery to your leg.
Where he will regret, not doing more with that at that moment. But anyway. But it is an interesting point of, like, okay, what is the best course of action? If you're trying to ascribe to the Prime Directive... It seems like these people definitely do fall into that Prime Directive,
sure.
Although you could make the argument, hey, they're related to people like us.
Yes.
We're flying on ships.
They were part of the culture before that eventually, advanced. So just because they got sidelined against their will, is what I want to say a number of times. It's not like the Pilgrims were like, we want to go to a land where they don't persecute us for combining our religions. It's not like that.
I mean, it's just against their will. I mean, they probably would have chosen if the choice was you either die from these bombs or we'll transport you to a distant planet. They'd probably be like, all right, sure.
Right, but that wasn't the choice they were given. It's like, we're gonna die. Oh well, let me just help you.
Boom. Bam.
So.
But there is that. I could make the case of, okay, so you're talking World War III, so it's post. It was 200 years before, then it's 2250. So somewhere around the year 2050, I guess, is what they're talking about. Is 2060, something like that. So, we probably have, at this point, gone to Mars, maybe. We maybe even have a small colony there. We're circling the Earth. We've sent stuff out to the ends of the galaxy. Yes, they're pre-warp, but, man, they,
Well,
kind of understand what that all means. I don't know, maybe.
Well, no.
But
because they know that
these folks are generations removed from them.
Yeah, they know that they're not in the right quadrant.
Like, what if it had been
They know that they're millions of miles away.
What if it had been not a generation removed, but the actual generation of people that got bamfed?
Yeah, presumably then you would say, we can save you.
Yeah.
But after they have kids, we're not going to save you.
The kids are,
or the kids of kids.
Oh, they don't know any better.
Look at them. They've adapted to their, and
right. We don't want them to readapt.
Yeah, there you go.
How could they possibly adapt again?
They couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's impossible. We had that. Oh, so let's talk about these the Red Angels. Okay. I had surmised perhaps after the first episode that maybe this is a signal of hey, this is a place you need to be, Discovery, to come help something, because they saved a spaceship. They saved the whole Hiawatha.
Right.
The two things they accomplished: save the Hiawatha and get dark matter asteroid.
Yes.
Then again, this marker shows up. The second marker shows up. they arrive, it disappears by the time they arrive. They'll be like, oh, okay, you got the message. and again, they arrive just in time to save this colony from being destroyed by debris.
Yeah.
So that seems to be, in my mind, there's a sentient being or collection of beings.
That's possible.
That are pointing out these, for whatever reason, 7 particular disasters. I assume there's got to be, an infinite number of disasters happening all over the universe, but these 7 are particularly important for some reason.
Right.
And so there's a sentient being that is directing maybe even the Discovery, because they kind of powered down the Enterprise. The Enterprise was, only on life support. We don't know exactly why, but it kind of got the feeling that it had something to do with this energy source. So some sentient thing wants the Discovery to go to these 7 spots and make these 7, we'll call them 7 rescues.
Well, again, you're assuming that they want the Discovery.
Right, but I'm throwing that into the mix now.
Oh, you are? Okay, now you are.
Yeah. But also because this particular event was so far away, there was no way that any Federation ship was ever going to get there.
That's true.
The only ship that could get there, based on their knowledge, was the Discovery. So
yeah, if they wanted them to do that, then they would need the Discovery to do it. And then so I mean,
I think it's very personal to probably Michael. That this, I don't know why, I don't know how, but obviously because Spock knew about this well before it happened, he was having dreams of it and he could write it out. I'm still going with there's someone in the future.
Yes, right.
There's something in the future that's looking back and trying to fix things in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem to be pointing in that direction. Yeah, I'm still, I guess, perhaps me, just sort of leaving hope that it's not that.
I agree that it makes everything seem a little too small.
And also, too, it's like,
Anakin builds
I feel as if
C-3PO.
one of the things they're attempting to do with this season is, or at least with the series, I should say, is here we are in the universe that the original series was in. So not the Kelvin, this is the regular one. And they're flirting with, doing stuff that will mess everything up. Mess up the original series and mess up stuff afterwards by having this technology, the Spore Drive, where it's like, that wasn't in the canon. Right? So they're flirting with that. So I've always assumed that, okay, they know that people want this timeline to remain as it was. So they would resist the temptation to make things, to screw it up. So I've assumed that the Spore technology is going to be wiped away, and there's some reason why they just really haven't talked about it.
And we thought it had been wiped away perhaps at the end of season 1.
Well,
and they brought it back.
Well, I mean, it seemed lame the way that, we're not going to use this anymore.
Sure. By choice as opposed to by necessity.
But here it is. Now they're using it, whatever. So, now they've had this, the Spore combined with the dark energy stuff going on in these last couple of episodes.
Yeah, the idea is that Tilly is going to try to harness the dark matter so that they don't need Stamets in the equation.
Right. Right. So it's like, after that, everybody else get a rock. Stick it in your ship, and then boom, 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 boom. Everybody's jumping all over the place, which obviously doesn't happen.
Correct.
So, because I assumed that the makers of the show were trying to correct that, you would want to keep more time stuff happening that could really screw things up. So if it is someone from the future, I guess, trying to fix it, like, whoops, what is going on with the Spore Drive? I'll just fix that with all this stuff.
So you're saying the ultimate fix will involve destroying the Spore Drive as well, is what you're saying?
I would hope, actually. I feel as if that's where they're going. I want to believe that because, otherwise it's like, no, that had nothing to do with ending it. So here we are. Here's the Spore Drive.
Because we assume eventually Spock will. I mean, we've seen from the trailers, he shows up with Michael. They're on a ship together. So he's going to know about Discovery. He's going to know about the Spore Drive. This is knowledge that they're now giving to people that then in the original series are going to be like, could have at their disposal if they so desired, and they don't.
And here's something else to think about. At least I decided that I wanted to think about it.
All right.
I just came out of my head.
Think about it.
So they established, and I think fairly well actually, at the beginning, at least last episode anyway, that what is it? Spock's father is Sarek, and Michael hadn't talked to Spock in a long time.
Correct, years.
And in the original series, when we first see Sarek, he's like, I haven't talked to Spock in years. So they kept that part.
So you feel like you're hoping that they don't actually then have Sarek speak with Spock at some point.
I'm assuming they're not.
They're not. Okay.
I'm assuming they're not.
Okay.
But one thing I'm about to suggest is that, Michael has said, we used to talk and now we don't, and we know they're going to speak.
And she broke it off for some kind of
right.
nefarious reason.
Right. So one way they could have it be, whereas, of course, Michael never talked to the original series about Michael is, at the end of this, she never existed.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But they wouldn't. I don't think they would do that.
No spore drives either.
Right? They destroy the. They go back before the Klingon War. I don't know, or like whoop. I don't know. That's interesting. All right. They just change the trajectory of the future so that Michael stays a ship's ensign.
Well, they just
she doesn't. She as a person doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just that her career doesn't. She doesn't have to make that choice to screw with the Klingons.
Yeah, see, that's so stupid. I hate it.
That's
so stupid. I hate it. I feel like the only thing that should happen is she's dead. And then Spock's like, it's too painful to talk about. I'm not going to talk about that.
Oh, I see what you mean. Good point, because she would still be his sister in that situation.
Yeah.
Got it. Right.
Yeah.
Or maybe they save her parents, and so then she never is orphaned, so she never goes to the Spock's family.
Interesting. And she never betrays the Federation by causing a war.
Boom.
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 And then the Klingon War is just for some other reason.
Yep. Because they're always warring.
Yeah. Kill.
So there you go. And,
wow. All right. So that's kind of a Days of Future Pasty kind of thing.
Yeah, it would suck. It would suck.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wow, what?
But it also sucks if it's just we'll just make a choice to shelve the spore drive. Like someone just makes a choice. Like, you know what?
Well,
it's more harm than good. Let's just lock it up.
Well, you want to
never
see
think of it again.
You want to see that there actually is more harm than good, right?
Yeah. Right. Right. The ability to travel anywhere in the universe instantaneously is a pretty big good.
Right.
Like that's helpful.
Right. So they had an excuse in that it was driving Stamets crazy.
Right.
So, and it's painful too, and who knows who you'll bump into.
But,
it's not worth...
If they automate the system...
Yeah, right. Now they got a rock to do it. Everybody just get you the rock.
We're fine.
Yeah, so...
I got you.
I assume that they're going to correct that. That's my assumption.
Yeah, at some point, it's got to be a horrible choice to do so that they can't possibly think of it again.
I mean, so...
We also don't know why... Spock will inevitably... Well, your theory that you don't want to happen, being that they just retcon time. But I feel like short of that, there's going to be some reason why he just never talks about her, and it's too painful. You're right. Maybe she dies, like not in a past tense kind of way. It doesn't change the past, but just future-wise, he's just like, something I did caused her death, and I just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, because, she's already, she started the war. So she started the war, and, now she's hanging...
and got, life sentence for it.
Right, and then helped to end the war. So, she's already part of this legendary, at least it should be anyway, legendary ship that you've never heard of.
Yeah, it's tough to not think that she would come up in some kind of conversation. Yeah. So there we go, everybody. That was episode 2, New Eden. We'll be back talking about Counterpart in the near future and Discovery episode 3. So stay with us for that, everybody. Bye now.